Trump launching U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund. Trump White House says the Sovereign Wealth Fund will help maximize the stewardship of our national wealth. This is something we have talked about before. There are some states, I think there are 90-some countries that do this. Explain to us this phenomenon of the Sovereign Wealth Fund and what Trump wants to accomplish.
So a sovereign wealth fund is an awesome idea in general. And you're right, there are over 93 countries currently around the globe that have sovereign wealth funds. So Norway's the largest that I know of. It's about $1.3 trillion that they have, $1.3 trillion. Now, we have 20 or 21 states, I believe, currently in the U.S. that have sovereign wealth funds. And what the idea is that you build up an investment account, and then you take a reasonable distribution, like a 3 to 5% distribution off of the account every year, and use that to help fund your government, right? And you can give out better service. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they've been doing it for years, right? Now, the difference is most sovereign wealth funds, including the ones here in the States, the largest three, I believe, are Texas, New Mexico, and Alaska, and I'm not 100% sure in which order, but we know Alaska and Texas are probably funding that through oil coming out of the ground, natural resources, right? So you take some of just to scrape a little off the top of the profit of the resources you have at disposal, and that's what Norway does, by the way, with oil, et cetera. And you invest it over a long period of time, and if you invest it well, you can grow the value of that fund, meaning more benefits that you can give to your society. And so Norway made $260 billion in profit on their wealth fund last year. So now it's going to continue to climb and grow. And so if they have a 20 or 30% rate of return in a given year, they don't up their distributions. If they're only distributing 5%, now next year's 5% is significantly higher, over 20% higher. Saudi Arabia pays for it. So why not? And I don't think you have to do it just from resources, by the way, which is how most of them are funded. I believe, look, what are we paying for our debt right now? Just so you know, the average debt in America that the U.S. has financed is $36 trillion, is sub 3%. Now, it's going to start rolling up about 100 basis points because the interest rate's a little bit higher. But what is the S&P return, Chip? I know this isn't your mantra. Over the last 100 years, what do you guess?
I don't know, 10%?
That's pretty close. So let's just take 10%. So if we can invest for the long term of the country, and we want to be here for 100 years for sure, right? And we can average 10% in that investment, why wouldn't we take 1 or 2% of every dollar gathered in revenue and invest it? In other words, that's an arbitrage positive to the American taxpayer. If we're earning 10% and we're paying 3%, that's a 7% gain for the taxpayer. And over time, as that fund builds up, eventually we can use the fund to wipe out and retire 100% of that debt. Now, it will take some time, but I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's long, long overdue. Wouldn't you rather have a sovereign wealth fund in the future instead of a debt? But the central banks want to enslave the world in debt. Yeah, it's a fantastic
our interest
idea.
payment now, as you've noted numerous times, we're already north of $1 trillion a year, right, in our interest payment on the debt. Yeah, so if it could be a vehicle for debt reduction, I could get excited about that.
And it's very easy to set up, and you're going to need Congress to vote this, and you're going to need bipartisan support. But again, that would require logic, and we don't see a lot of that on Capitol Hill.